Hello YouTube artist, I'm Kelly Hernig and welcome to In the Studio. Today I'm going to talk about how this book, the Creative Abstract Watercolor book by Kate Rebecca Leach, changed my life and my art. I know that's a big thing to say about a book, but it changed me in many, many ways. And I'm going to do a flip through of my sketchbook because I've finished this entire book, and I feel it's important that I share what I learned, how it changed me, and how it's affecting my art now that I'm done with this book. I bought this Venezia sketchbook just for the book, and I can say that I am 2/3 through it. So you can see that is all my studies within the book, and these are the pages that I have left over. And I'm just going to really continue learning because there's things in here that I really liked that I took away from this book. This study started on May 25th and it ended in October 25th. I like to write the dates down. I did this book study with a group of friends. It started with Sandy, and then we added Tracy and Lori to the mix. And I can tell you, watching us all grow differently and in various areas has been really part of the magic of this book. I'm going to do a flip through first because I know many of you are just here to see the flip through. So what I'm going to do is just flip through quite fast, and then I will come back and give you my thoughts and talk a little bit more about each and every page. And that's it for the flip through. There's a lot of pieces in there. There's a lot of work in here. I mean, this has been a weekly exercise, and it's something that has been really great doing it weekly so that you just grow on what you're learning. Some pieces I like, some pieces I don't, but I learned from every single one of them. So let me give you what I learned the most in. For me, I learned the most in the first 7 sketchbook pages because I was trying to figure out what this book meant to me and how I could make it work. So I really wanted to study the sampler pages. These were the things that intrigued me the most about the book. And believe me, I was scared to death when I first got this book. I was like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to make it mine? How am I going to challenge myself to keep up with it and learn from it and not just be like, I can't do that, because I always like to just keep trying and seeing what comes out of it. So as I allowed myself to just play, I looked at this as just squares first, and I just played with color. And then I went into adding elements and adding the marks, and that gave me comfort because I'm good at adding just shapes and just watercoloring, right? I do that every day. But to come in then and evaluate it and see things other than what is there, and trying to add marks, just adding marks here, just adding lines, trying to look for different areas that have different value or different shapes. That was the thing that I knew that if I could grasp that, I would understand this book a lot more. So I took my time doing these, and I did a lot. I played with color. I learned some colors are brighter than others. Some work, some don't. Here I was trying black and white pen. Here, this page, I wanted to do colors that felt like me to see what the white looked like on my kind of colors versus colors that were, really dark like this, because they play a bigger part here than they do here. And I found already that I like the subtleties of this kind of look where they're softer and you discover them. You can see I'm learning. The shapes are all different. Here I got very geometrical, and I let kind of the white spaces tell me or inform me what to do there. I'm playing with circles, which is not really a comfortable shape for me, but I'm allowing myself to explore those. This page I really, really loved. I loved because it felt very naturey. Here I have like a bark and some leaves. I've got leaves sideways. These I were calling little apples. This I was calling Stonehenge. So this one I really found my comfort zone. And I really think it's just because of this palette of colors as well. It's what I'm used to. It's what I explore every day. So this part of the book was probably my most learning happened here because it got me over the shock of thinking about marks, and I started just thinking about, what do I see? So after my initial wash, I looked at it and I'm like, what do I see? Where can I add different shapes? And how can they feel like me? That's not an easy thing to do when you are talking about realism and everything that I do. But I just let myself kind of relax, and I looked at it as playtime. There are no rules. I'm not being judged. This is totally about learning, and I'm studying. That is how I looked at this book. And then we got into more of the lessons. So when I started doing the lessons, I really tried following exactly her exercises in the book, just so that I would learn where we're kind of going with this. And my big step from this book was, the first thing you do is just washes. So you just sit and play. At least that's how I looked at it. I'm just playing with washes. I'm not worrying about anything else, because if I'm worrying about where the marks are or what I'm supposed to be doing next, I don't find joy in that. But just thinking about color right now and adding just strips of different color, that I was able to play with a little bit more. The second step in her process is about coming back with more paint and adding different marks. So maybe we added the little leaf shapes here. I added these little circles. I added these little, so think about just laying your brush tip down and lifting it up. That's what all these are. I gave some extra lines into some of what I looked at as water. I deepened and made kind of a mountain shape there because I already had one kind of going. So that is like step 2. Step 3 then is about embellishing. So adding your white pen, your gold pen, your color pencils, your black pen, whatever you wanted to do. And you can see here I'm playing a little bit with metallics. That didn't last long because I am not a metallics girl. But I wanted to try it to see how I liked it, if I liked it, and if it was something that I wanted to carry on. And then when I'm doing pieces like hers too, this was a long piece of hers, and it's in colors that I'm not comfortable with, right? I was trying to follow some of her colors because I liked the way that it looked in the book. But then when I went to do it, what I'm doing every time I'm adding this color is like, ooh, I need to mute that down, or I don't really like this color, right? So I'm already giving it a negative connotation, and I didn't want to do that because part of this was about growth. So I just kept playing with it. But what happened is, even though I'm using colors that I'm uncomfortable with, it's still allowing me to play with marks. I'm playing with different shapes. Here I'm playing with like a black and white pen, and I found that I did not like the black pen on the white. And I did not like the metallics. I don't know if you can see that. There's metallics everywhere on this page. So what I did was I let myself do another piece just like this in colors I enjoyed. So this was about muted colors. Throughout this journey also, I'm playing with different white things to see what kind of white marks I liked. So the Neocolor crayon, the China marker, the Derwent Inktense pencil, Derwent drawing pencil, the Posca pen, the Uniball Signal, the white gouache. I gave myself little exercises like that to try and see what I liked. And some pens I liked better than others. Some I liked the brighter marks, some I liked the duller marks. It really just depends on what I'm doing. But I allowed myself to create another page, and that's the whole point of this. By trying the piece too, again, it lets me put my own ideas into it, interject a little differently. And for me, that's really what it was about, is finding myself in here. And that's a hard thing to imagine. Kelly Hernig in an abstract way. I know, it's almost mind-blowing. And as we kept going, I kept discovering different things about me and different shapes. I really like the round shapes up here. I really liked adding the like bubble-like qualities. I liked if an area gave me vibes like a tree trunk, right? So think about the rings of a tree trunk. I liked if white paper had a big mark that I could kind of come around that. And those were the kind of marks that I was finding exciting. I was like, okay, these feel like me. Here is one that I called my amoeba. And the amoeba-like things showed up in this piece here, where I just kind of let myself go. And this carried on throughout my book, which I really enjoyed. Playing with color on every exercise. You can see that it's all different. I've got little color bands everywhere just because I wanted to explore color in a different way. And what that showed me was I was willing to take a chance, take a risk. And I want you to think about that. When was the last time that you took a risk with color? That you're not just using the ones that you always use. By taking the risk, it allowed me to play with it in different ways. I could mix and match, right? So it's letting me see what these colors kind of mix and how they play together. I wasn't worried about the outcome. Once I stuck with the color combinations that I had picked or the colors that I had picked, I'm just going for it. And when was the last time too you didn't worry about the outcome? You just went ahead and did it. And I didn't let myself add any colors. Once this was the palette that I established, that's what I had to work with. And by doing that too, it allowed me to play with things differently. Like here, I mixed the blue and the gold. Here I mixed the blue and the green. Here I mixed the blue and this other gold here. And so there's 3 areas that are totally different, but yet they're the same. They're mixing the same blue with the different golds and greens, but I'm figuring out what I like about that and how they make me feel. Like I really liked this coloration and this coloration. I didn't care for this one as well. But I knew it was because of the granulation here that I liked it. Here, this was just too bright for my taste. And then this one, I like the blue and green together. The way that she works as well, like that second layer, adding that wet to dry. So once your initial washes are on here, you come back and you create some kind of pattern or mark. And what I really enjoyed about that is it let me deepen areas. It let me add stripes, like here I added the stripe. But I also took the stripe and deepened up here because I liked that it kind of looked dark up there. On this rock, I added that deeper red line here to kind of make a distinctive mark. And it was okay with the yellow and the red together, but once I added that darkness, I was like, okay, that added a lot of depth. And to me, it gave me a richness that I usually don't have with my work. And when I did this down here, I kind of let some of that darker red dip down onto this piece. And I like the way then that connected those two pieces, like they were almost one dripping into one another. And I like that. I did the same thing here. As I deepened up here, I pulled some color from this rock into this rock. And I like the way that they kind of marry each other. You see how that mirrors this? This one marries into that one, so they're sharing the color there. And I like that. To me, it gives it a little more cohesiveness, but I enjoyed creating areas like that because those are some of my favorite areas where this color morphs into this one and this one moves into that. I love where those two come together. But by deepening as well, it gives me a chance to be more expressive and look at my work. That's the one thing that I surprised myself is after the initial wash, I'm looking at my piece and going, okay, what do I see in there? You know, no one is telling me what I see or what I should see, but I'm actually asking myself these questions. What do I see? What do I like? What do I think an embellishment will be? What do I think by adding a mark, is it going to change it the way that I want it to? And sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't, right? I didn't really care for this giant stripe and how I marked it, but over here, I love the delicate white that I achieved here and on this rock. So you take those favorite bits that you loved and you carry them forward. The pieces that you didn't really like, you just let those be okay here because remember, this is just an experiment, and I left it behind. This was another piece that I loved her scallops in the book. They were really bright and intense, this intense. And I knew going in that I'm not going to like this because it is this intense. But I tried it anyways. I played with colors and tried to pick my favorite, and there you go. And so I wasn't really happy with this. First of all, I don't like white pen on really dark colors. I like the white pen to be discoverable. So I like it to be a little more muted like this. A little more muted where you're kind of searching for it and it doesn't stick out. Like I felt it really stuck out here. So then I did a different version, a softer version, a more Kelly version, and I approached it differently. I didn't do it as I'm painting this scallop, and this scallop one color. This color, this, and this, the next color. Here I let myself kind of play with merging colors together, but still carrying them over. So I started with gray, then went into green, then dipped into pink, then I've got a little bit of purple here. And I like the motion of this. I like discovering the scallops better here and the marks than seeing it so strongly here. And that is really just a personal preference. But if you followed me for any time, you know that I prefer a softer, more medium value tone in my work. And that's exactly what this gave me. And this page here gave me the confidence to keep doing my own thing. When we got to this page, it was about all these different ovals and circles and lines. So I actually masked all of those hard lines off with masking fluid. And I enjoyed creating just color. So I just started up here with color and I morphed it into there, and then I kind of pulled down each little segment, right? So think about, I'm working in that shape. And I didn't do the whole piece at one time. I went one little square at a time, letting myself kind of discover and put more value in there, or more color mixes or softer colors, maybe splashing some areas, maybe using a paper towel to kind of dab it off. Here I dabbed some color off here and here. But what I enjoyed about this was it let me just relax and add the colors, even though it's such a complex design. I mean, look at that giant circle, a circle, a circle, a circle, and then you've got all these harsh white lines everywhere. So it was already overwhelming to me, but by just playing with color first and worrying about everything else later, it gave me that relaxing mode of, okay, I'm just playing with colors. I've got 4 colors, let's see what they can do. Let's see how they play with one another, and that's the way I approached it. Once it was dry, then I went into the marks and found what I wanted to add, where I wanted to add them, and where I thought they would be of value. And here was my own version of this. I wanted to do a piece that looked like fall. Fall is coming, and you know me and leaves. So I actually took a leaf here, drew it. I drew a tail end of a leaf here, So I just recreated my own version of this piece. Only I wanted it to be in fall colors and represent me with leaves and all of these wonderful marks that I'm learning about. And I like the way that it came out. Is it perfect? No, but I love the experimentation of it. And you can see too, it's a little more complicated, and I like that because it connected to me personally. It was colors that I was thinking about, seeing outside my window. It was the leaves that I actually love. And I have more connection to this piece. It feels more like me. It's even bolder than what I even thought I could do. But I love that this is changing my art as well. It's letting me find deeper values that are rich and colorful and feel like me. This page really feels to me, even though these are the colors that I used, exploring them in different ways and getting these nice deep areas is something that I really don't do on my other pieces. So allowing that to happen has been my number one take from this book. And I wrote the note to myself, the confidence of picking the colors and being a risk taker in those choices is a prize for me to take with me from this book. It is definitely something that is carrying on, and as you'll see as we go deeper, it gets more bolder. So here was just playing with flower shapes, and I really enjoyed exploring the marks. Sometimes I used masking fluid, like on some of these brighter ones that are, think of little thicker lines, but then just playing with colors and just having fun. I enjoyed this page immensely. Are they my colors? Absolutely not. But they let me see that I really like the orange and the yellow here. I actually really like this pink with the alizarin gold up here. But it's also finding little things that I love, like this little flower right here, you guys. It just makes me so darn happy. I would recreate that over and over, just like this little one. I love those two little flowers. I know on this whole big page of flowers, those are the two things that I picked up. But I like the charm of them. I like the lines. I like they're kind of bubble shaped and happy. So I'm taking that with me. When we got to this leaf section, I really wanted to start being a little more, the girls in the group called it rogue. And that's exactly what it felt like. We kind of each found our own source of inspiration and ran with it. So this was my version of eucalyptus leaves. I love round eucalyptus leaves, but coming up with a color scheme that was very muted, because I wanted to try muted, but then I wanted to see what the white marks would do on there too. And this is one of my favorite pieces in this book, because I learned that I could do the marks. So think of the white lines, but then I came in here and deepened in between some of them. So by that, I mean, can you see that the white lines are there, but then there's a stronger dark green in between there? Up here, there's dark green here. There's a little bit of dark purple in here. There's a dark gray on the end. So that was showing a different side of me, and it's a way that I'm exploring. And as you can see, I'm evolving throughout this process. I'm becoming more confident. I'm not really thinking about abstract art anymore. At this point, what I'm thinking is washes, I need a second layer of color, and then I need embellishments. That is how I took this process, and that simplification made it so much easier for me because I'm most comfortable with the washes, which was the first thing that we did. I enjoy adding a second layer. Thank you to this book. That opened up a whole new world to me. But then I enjoyed trying to find the marks as well and see what would come. And this is one of them that I shared with you on YouTube. It was my abstract leaf because I was aching for some oak leaves. I just knew that I wanted to do them. And the freedom to explore new things, find what I liked about it, and then start incorporating it into my own work. It's making me ask myself already, like, who am I? What have I done with Kelly, right? I'm seeing a new and a almost lighter, more playful Kelly at this point, and I'm enjoying her a lot. But it's also making me ask the questions. Where do I go from here? How am I going to be able to incorporate my play of color here, but bring that into what I like to do, or little treasures? How is connecting all of this stuff and the marks and the shapes and the colors, how is that going to reflect into my sketchbook practice? How am I going to be able to bring something this bold into my concertina journals and just sit and experiment with that and play and give myself permission to allow it to happen? I don't just have to be doing this study now. I want to take those bits and pieces that I really love, like even just playing with little shapes like this and seeing what the white marks do inside of each of them. It's something that gives me confidence that I can do this. I can make this happen. This was the tree exercise, and I actually found a picture on Pinterest that I like the shape of. And I like the bowl shape here, and it had a big, think of a bonsai tree, but I wanted giant leaves, so I just added giant leaves and berries to it. But I like the way that it made me explore something that I had seen, but then something that I have added by my imagination. And I usually don't do that. It's usually something that I have to see it to draw it. I don't usually just let myself be free to just add things that I want to add in it. I also shared this piece with you, the flowering tree, because of the image that I had in my head with all these little lines and everything merging, but yet seeing the bark. Remember, it was all about the trunk here. Again, exploring all those colors. This palette is not me by any means, but I enjoyed the outcome of it tremendously. And these flowers will be showing up again and again and again in my work because I love the simplicity of them. This was a piece where I had found a piece on Pinterest again for inspiration. It was carved wood, but I made it into the village where we were on the village exercise. I wanted to try a new technique with cling wrap down here at the bottom to get the movement of the rocks and the water, and I absolutely loved the way that it came out. I enjoyed adding the little wisps of cloud. I was channeling Van Gogh. Here you can see that I kind of tried different ways. I was thinking of hardness down here with the waves and crashing and everything, but I wanted the softness of the clouds to be up there just as another element, just as a little whisper of clouds, and I think that it added a nice little softness to this piece. And then we've got my moon. I shared this piece with you as well, and this was such a free piece for me to explore. It was totally different than what I'm used to. At this point, I have the confidence and know something is going to happen. It's going to turn out okay. I'm not saying great, but I know it can come out pretty much the way that I expect it to. You know, I wanted it darker up here. I wanted it more muted colors down here, but I wanted it to look like a reflection and have the strength of all the different shapes that I could find in it. So by experiencing art like this in a study, in a book that I was so scared to start, I mean, really, me and Sandy were so nervous about, can we do this? But by allowing ourselves to just take it one page at a time, you guys, absolutely one page at a time. That is how we approached it. And if we wanted to stay in this section for a little longer, that's what we did. We gave ourselves permission to just keep playing and figuring it out for ourselves. This was what I wanted my sketchbook to look like. I wanted all these little takeaways that I can now go back, and I have my own reference in here, that I can look at marks that connect to me, that reflect me, that are a new part of me. And I didn't expect that. I didn't expect to find the joy of doing something this risky, but yet enjoying it so much. Where will I go from here? That is the big question. I'm asking myself already, now that we just finished this book, I'm asking myself, how is this going to come about in my work? How am I going to see it translated there? What are the one things that I want to pull away? You know, color exploration is one of them. Using that second level of watercolor on top of a wash is something that was a game changer for me for this book. It's something that really helps me explore now in a different way. And I am forever grateful for Kate Rebecca Leach doing such a great job with a book and showing us the simple steps, but giving us the permission to try it your own way and be free and Do what feels natural to you. It has been a beautiful experience, and I hope that you pull one of your books off of your bookshelf today. Just start flipping through it and asking yourself, how can I study this in a way that's going to make me different? Make me question who I am. Make me play with colors. Make me try something new. And just remember, your sketchbook is there for play. It's not about perfection. If you were inspired by my flip through today, please leave me a like or comment. I would really appreciate knowing your thoughts. If you haven't subscribed, please click the button. And as always, thanks for watching.